Are we about to witness a massive black swan event around crypto? Let's talk about it. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you become a subscriber to join us on the path towards mass crypto adoption. MiCA is a major move happening around the EU with crypto adoption, crypto regulatory movements, and ultimately it's going to be the first big thing happening around regulatory clarity for crypto. But the question is it good for the industry or is it a bad move? Well, here we have a useful overview of MiCA's impact on stablecoins by Wrath of Kahneman, set to take effect at the end of the month. Algorithmic banned, one-to-one liquid assets backing assets insulated, held third party. This last point is interesting regarding Ripple stablecoin. Now, again, a lot of people will say like, oh, this is very good for Ripple stablecoin. It's good for XRP. It's good for but the thing is that, you know, what is this going to do in the short term? Because I do believe that MiCA is setting the pace for crypto regulatory clarity globally. I think that with MiCA, I think it's going to really have all these other nations putting the pedal to the metal and trying to create a regulatory bill to bring in and usher in regulations globally. I think that this is definitely going to set that pace. And I think that's going to set ablaze a massive path towards global clarity around crypto. But the problem that everyone is having is, what does this mean for Tether? What does this mean for most of the market? And well, over here we have from Marty Party, we have update on Tether. Tether has until June 30th to comply with the EU MiCA regulations. This is an interesting issue. The EU regulator expects 60% of backing in bank cash, but Tether CEO says this is problematic due to bank failure risk. And honestly, he is right, as you guys do see here, because listen, this is only beneficial for the incumbents. Like, this is only going to benefit bankers and the big banks even more. And I actually do have a problem with this. I do think that bank cash is a problem, especially when you have a 60-40 split like this. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I know that a lot of people say like, oh, Tether is this, Tether is that. I don't think that any stablecoin issuer should have a 60-40 backing of bank cash, especially with what we know about banks right now. In April, he also posted to X saying that we're still discussing with the regulator about our concerns regarding the EU's possible requirements for capital reserves. Uninsured cash deposits are not a good idea, he added. We should learn from what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and another major stablecoin in the US. If a bank goes bankrupt, uninsured cash goes into bankruptcy. Stablecoins should be able to keep 100% of reserves in treasury bills rather than exposing themselves to bank failures, keeping a big chunk of reserves in uninsured cash deposits. In case of bank failure, securities return back to the legitimate owner. The vast majority of the roughly 110 billion of USDT in circulation at the end of the first quarter were backed by US treasuries, according to an attestation published last month. Now, I want you all to succeed this alt season, so I put together a full list of tools that you guys can utilize to track where the largest whales are putting their money in this space that could ultimately net you a ton of ROI. I'm also giving out 30 free crypto gems that are fully researched and even broken down into specific risk categories. Both of these guides are completely free. All you have to do is claim your access right now by utilizing one of the links down in the description below. What are you guys waiting for? Make sure that you guys have access to this, especially for this alt season that is nearing. As we look into this, there's also another update over here, and here is what, again, Tether's CEO said in the Big Whale 2 months ago about MiCA and stablecoins. It seems like nothing has changed since then, and MiCA comes into effect from June 30th. And here we have at Tether, what particularly bothers us about the specific part of MiCA are the very strong constraints on how you can manage your reserves. And this is where we really kind of look at that 60% cash deposits at a bank. I do think that that is a big problem. I think that it is a very large risk. Now, like I said, as we look at this, we also have to look at regulations happening around the world, because outside of MiCA, we are now starting to see a lot of bills happening around Congress and around the US. And I feel as though what MiCA is doing is kind of the same problem that we are seeing in the US. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think that a lot of this is to support the bankers and also the incumbents. And that's where I have a very big issue with this. We have over here US crypto crackdown imminent. Legislation that would force the crypto industry to identify users in order to avoid sanctions was inserted into the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence's recent funding package. The measure would automate the process of sanctioning foreign digital asset transaction facilitators, including exchanges that are linked to anyone who supports terrorism. Senator Mark Warren's staff has been meeting with industry representatives to determine whether it can be removed from the final version of the National Defense Authorization Act. And hopefully it can. But the big problem that I have with this is the sneaking in of anti-crypto, nonsense into these bills. And we've been seeing this for a while now. And it goes all the way back to, 2023, where we start to see the, anti-crypto narrative really heating up. The whole Operation Choke Point 2.0 narrative is still alive and well in this space. And I've talked about that, which is why I kind of go back to, the Tether situation. Whether or not you support Tether or not, it doesn't matter, right? I think the idea of supporting banks in a 60-40 split is just wild to me. It's wild to me. And, again, MiCA, I think that outside of this, I think MiCA's great. I think it's great for the industry, but when we start to see these regulatory sweeps happening where it really kind of gives the bankers more ammunition, I think it's a problem. Now, over here from this post, we also got a quote from Aaron Arday over here, and we have, please listen to me. Crypto is not winning. The people who are excited about the bills in Congress about crypto didn't read them. And I agree. I've talked about this in the past. A lot of those bills that we see where it's like, oh, look, it's pro crypto, there's hidden things behind them. All they do is give more power to the banks and more power to the executive branch. The largest super PAC's crypto biggest achievement was to make sure Adam Schiff is the US Senate candidate from California. They are anti-freedom cronies. This super PAC is garbage and will do 100 times more damage than good. And yeah, like a lot of these moves being made around Congress and around, these crypto bills, it's all to support the banks even more and give them more power. This is a big issue to me. This is something that, as we really look at these bills, we need to make sure that we are reading them thoroughly and making sure that we know everything about these bills. Because if we don't, there could very well be hidden things within them that give even more power to those that we are trying to avoid, aka, the big bankers and the incumbents that have been trying to kill this industry through Operation Choke Point 2.0. Now, like I said, Operation Choke Point 2.0 is still here. Just recently, back in April, actually, a post from Caitlin Long have confirmed there is definitely a witch hunt underway to debank fintech and crypto companies in the US. It's very political. It's illegal, wrong, and may violate the FDIC's 2019 Operation Choke Point lawsuit settlement. Debanking should be an election issue in November, and I completely agree. And again, if we're going back to the Ripple stablecoin discussion, right? I do think that we will follow and take some guidance from MiCA even in the US, which does provide a big problem, because if this is going to be a role where we have that 60-40 split, because again, the big bankers, they want control. They want control. They want to have power. They will try to have this role in the US, in the UK, you name it. This could spiral out of control in a very large way. It gives them even more power, gives them even more ammunition to be anti-crypto and really kind of cut off the largest stablecoin issuers in this space. And that is where I do see a big issue. And what this is actually in response to was this post over here in terms of, an individual that banked at Wells Fargo for over 26 years. Basically, they debanked him without any explanation. And a lot of his stuff was around crypto, like he was utilizing Wells Fargo for crypto. And you could even see the breakdown here in terms of him getting debanked. It's kind of crazy to say the least, but again, you look at this and a lot of it is based on crypto, because he even said here that I haven't used my personal accounts for crypto purchases since 2018, and I've always do things by the books. And the problem that I have here right? The problem that I have with these things is as we look at these banks and we look at them clamping down on cryptos, you guys do see even here, like the conversation is they 100% are clamping down. They're trying to do it so quietly. Well, I won't shut up. And, we have been following this for so long. We've been reporting on this for so long because the big banks, whether or not you want to believe it, are not pro crypto. They don't want crypto to succeed. If crypto succeeds and they're not getting a chunk of the pie, they completely miss out. And they completely miss out on a ton of money to be made. Because you're talking about fees that these customers are paying these big banks year over year. When money starts flowing from the banks to crypto, now it becomes a problem. And I do think that that's where these crazy rules come into play around this like 60-40 split. I do think that this is a big issue. Now, outside of this, right? What does this really pertain to? What is the end goal here? Because I know that a lot of people have been talking about CBDCs, and I've been addressing it for a while as well. Stablecoins will 100% work with CBDCs. They will be there, right? But is a CBDC happening? Because that's another thing. Because if we're starting to see these big banks cutting off crypto and they're being anti-crypto, and we're seeing this anti-crypto narrative still going on, because I don't care about the whole idea of like, oh, look at Biden and Trump are, pro-crypto now. I don't believe it for a second, because again, this is like all supporting the whole idea of, oh, it's election year, we have to gain some voters. I've talked about it on multiple occasions. We're still going to see CBDCs. Any president that is promoting the idea of like, oh, we're not going to have a CBDC, they're ridiculous. Listen, if every single other nation is pushing for a CBDC, what do you think the US is going to do? Just sit there and do nothing? Absolutely not. I said over here, so basically a US CBDC is still coming. The CBDC Anti-Surveillance Act just ensures that CBDCs fall in line with private cash. This confirms my thought process on the fact that we will have CBDCs and stablecoins. CBDCs for central bankers and stablecoins for retail. And guess what? The big banks, they will eat so well from this. Because now if we're talking about stablecoins having that 60-40 split, and again, the central banks are eating up around CBDCs, well, guess what? They succeed. They succeed in every aspect of the way. I said this is a big announcement, and it is realistically the beginning of what's coming. Do you ever wonder why all these bills are getting passed now? Is it a coincidence? The old system is failing, things are breaking, and it's now time to usher in the new system. It's only a matter of time until the US has an official CBDC and stablecoin. Welcome to the new system. You are either prepared or you will be left behind. And that's also why we're seeing this anti-crypto narrative really heating up in a large way. Back in 2023, actually, during the middle of Operation Choke Point 2.0, Dan Held put out a great post. And he said, here's the government playbook on creating CBDCs. Label crypto as bad and block access. Backstop all banks / quasi-nationalizing them. Introduce a CBDC as a solution, ban cash. Now, the thing about this is I don't think that they even have to ban cash, because we've been starting to see a big push on cashless from a lot of these big companies out there. Like, for an example, here we have can't pay by card or cash. Now do you see? And here we have Tesco, ASDA, Aldi, like these big companies are now saying like shoppers soon won't be able to pay with card or cash. And it's crazy that this is starting to be a much larger narrative, because this has been something that we have been following since going all the way back to 2019, 2020 as well. Cashless around a lot of these major companies is starting to grow at a rapid pace. So when we go back over here to banning cash, you don't have to ban cash. These big brands are going to incentivize the idea of using things outside of, card or cash. But also, if they're not going to accept paying with card or cash, guess what? What are you going to do? When every single, big business around you, and every single business around you in general actually is not accepting cash or card, what do? And by the way, look at the most recent announcement, Apple's tap to cash, next gen mobile payments. This is the start of what we have been talking about for so long. And it really does go back to these major regulatory movements that are, providing you an insight on how this is all pro banks. Remember, I've always talked about this in the past, like the crackdown, the whole idea of like, oh, crypto's bad, crypto's this, crypto's that. Like, it's all to support these big banks. And how do we know this? Well, I think the proof is JP Morgan. If you go and look at JP Morgan and what's been happening around the whole idea of like, oh, ban Bitcoin, get rid of crypto, this, that, whatever, while utilizing crypto technology around Onyx, it really shows the hand that he's playing, right? His hand is already shown. We already know what he's doing. The big bankers have been here for a while, and they are pro, the bills that are giving them even more power. That's why when we look at these bills, we need to make sure that we are looking over everything, because a lot of these bills just give more power to the banks. And I do think that even, with Mika, it definitely is more pro banker than anything because of that 60-40 split. And I think that we have to be careful with this because this could spiral out of control with what we know about these big banks and what's been happening around these big banks. So do I think that this is going to be very good for this industry? It's hard to say. I think that, regulations are good. I think that we need regulations. But the problem that I have with a lot of these regulations is the sneaking in of certain roles, providing banks with even more ammunition. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on for more free content. You can follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.